Is Suicide Squad dead on arrival? Well, this past week, media outlets and creators released their previews and they were extremely mixed with complaints about mechanics to the core gameplay, but Rocksteady, the developer of Suicide Squad, made a play that put the balance back in their favour. Hi guys, Higgs here, and today we're chatting about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the upcoming game developed by Rocksteady Studios, the creators of the Batman Arkham series. Now, as a fan of comics, superheroes and villains, I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad, but I do have my concerns and I don't think I'm alone in thinking that way. First up, what is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Well, it's a third-person action shooter that's set in Metropolis, and we initially play as 4 members of the Suicide Squad: Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang and King Shark. The story is centered around us fighting Brainiac and his forces. He corrupts people's minds, and that includes the Justice League, so we've been drafted in to sort this mess out. Metropolis is a vast city with loads to do and explore, and is twice the size of Gotham City and Arkham Knights. Rocksteady have said that character movement was key in their development because it allows for better gameplay, and each character's abilities really help make them feel unique. Metropolis looks really cool, and the gameplay I've seen has me really curious to try this out come February. Although I am skeptical, I'm really excited for this one. So from the first initial look at the game, it looks like a fun, jam-packed superhero villain game with the characters having cool abilities and upgrades. Now, I do have concerns, and this centers around the live service model. When Marvel's Avengers dropped, I thought, how could anyone mess up a game for the most loved and easily sellable superhero franchise? But that's exactly what happened in the end, and that was really unfortunate because with promises of continued updates and support, they soon found out live service is not only expensive, but bloody difficult to keep up with. And eventually, Avengers fizzled out, and that made me really upset because I love Avengers like most people do. Now, that's not a direct issue with Suicide Squad as a game, but maybe some fatigue with the games as a service model, and I think that's where I'm coming from. There's just a little bit of a fatigue, but that isn't directly the fault of Rocksteady Studios or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So the game does release on February the 2nd, but you do have early access available on the 30th of January, but you have to pre-order the deluxe edition. Now, I'm personally not a fan of these pre-order practices. For me, it's just another cheap and easy way to try and entice players to spend some more cash for a few days extra leveling, and that's all it's going to be. Although the pre-order bonus of 4 classic themed outfits for each squad member is for both editions, and I really do appreciate that because sometimes them kind of bonuses are just for the main expensive edition itself. So I will take my hats off to Rocksteady and Warner Brothers for that. That's a nice little touch. And the game also supports cross-platform progression for online co-op and will have free post-launch seasons and updates with new characters being introduced each update, which we can use, which tells me Rocksteady are extremely confident of the products they're putting out next month. So, moving on to the previews. These did drop the past week as journalists and creators were invited to play Suicide Squad. The previews are mixed, with some liking it and others not so much. Let's talk about Gamesradar. They enjoyed their time at the game, quoting, "Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is not the live service looter shooter I was preparing for. It's a turbocharged super villain frenzy that feels and looks incredible." With the article finishing off with, "Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came as a massive surprise to me. Rocksteady's proven skill, passion and dedication to authenticity means I was already looking forward to heading back into the Arkhamverse, but I didn't expect the format of an online action shooter to feel as fitting as it does." That is extremely pleasing to read, and seems the reviewer went in with a totally free train of thought and enjoyed the experience. Then we have the IGN review, which isn't as positive. The previews start off with the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League preview. We played it and didn't like it, so they're not pulling any punches there then. But when we read on, some parts of the preview are more the issues with the actual player than the game. It reads, "From enslaving a child form of poison ivy to straight up watching your heroes murder people, there's a lot here to make you feel a bit uncomfortable about the journey you're being taken on. And when you pair this disconnect with game mechanics straight out of the likes of Destiny, Anthem or Marvel's Avengers, I'm left worried about the final product coming together in a way that works. The fun just wasn't there for me, at least not yet." Comparing the game to other live service games is a play issue, and one I can kind of understand, as the fatigue with the genre is more prominent. Games as a service are very difficult to keep updating with fresh, new things, but Suicide Squad will need our time to see what it actually does past the initial story. Although Destin did go on to say this, unfortunately for Suicide Squad, once the fun story bits end, you're left with a much less inspired combat system and an open world that's filled with tedious tasks. Destin also mentioned a fight with Flash, where Flash, the really fast superhero, was too fast for him to deal with and got frustrated. Now, I don't know, again, if that is more of a player issue or just a core mechanic is just a little bit frustrating to deal with, but time will tell. I'm going to lean on it being a bit more of a player issue. I don't want to make too much of a prior judgment there. But one thing to remember is these previews are mixed, but most importantly, one person's opinion, and you should always use these as a really flexible guideline, guys. VGC also previewed the game with a mixed feeling. They started off their preview with a few hours with Rocksteady Suicide Squad isn't enough to convince. Then they go on to say, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is, as I'm told by a Rocksteady representative, part of the Arkhamverse, but you wouldn't know just by looking at it. And after playing it for almost 4 hours, I'm not sure you would know it was from the same studio behind the best superhero game trilogy ever made. And they finished the article off with, there's no getting around that for Arkham fans, Suicide Squad is an entirely other beast, as stark a difference as it is being able to see the city in daylight. But being different from before doesn't mean that it's necessarily new, especially when it seems to be taking older ideas from both the open world action of Crackdown and a loot-based approach to gear like Marvel's Avengers. Yet, as flawed as Crystal Dynamics' title was, it did at least deliver on the fantasy of playing as your favourite superheroes. After breaking new ground for the superhero genre, just consider how Arkham-esque Spider-Man's combat is. It's sad to think that a decade later, Rocksteady is merely following others. So as we can see, the previews are extremely mixed, and I'm not sure the previewers knew what the identity of the game was, or that it was more of an issue with what the gamers wanted. I honestly believe gamers are just fatigued with live service looter shooters at this point and yearn for something a little different, and hopefully Rocksteady can give us that in the long term. Now, shortly after these mixed previews dropped, Destin from IGN quoted this tweet here. Del Walker said, lift the NDA, and Destin said, I agree with this take. Those who got to play Suicide Squad for 3 days unrestricted likely had a better experience. It was the way to go with this one, lift the NDA. And then the Suicide Squad Twitter handle released this statement. Back in November, we held a closed alpha test for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, where players agreed to a non-disclosure agreement and got a chance to check out an early section of the game. Now there is more news out on the game, and players are asking, we're no longer enforcing a portion of the NDA and we're allowing players to talk about their experience from the closed alpha test. We've heard the community request and want to give players an opportunity to discuss what it's like to explore Metropolis as Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang and King Shark. To the amazing players who've tested the game, please feel free to talk and write about your gameplay experience. Keep in mind that all other terms of the NDA still apply, and players may not post imagery or videos from the closed alpha test. I think that's a really good play from Rocksteady Studios, because the previews obviously are extremely mixed, and people do look at previews to kind of guide them whether the game's going to be for them or not. So under this tweet, we started getting replies from people that did participate in the closed beta. We had one reply from Step, I played alone and I've got to say, it was more enjoyable in single player than I expected. The story cinematics are fun. Not sure it is my thing necessarily because of the theme, supervillains heroes, but the game and its demo portion was very polished fun. Being alpha, that is. Underneath that, Mr. SRT, game is very good, combat is fast and aggressive, all characters have a unique playstyle that is addicting and you will find yourself switching between all of them. Graphics are beautiful, large city, upgrades and cosmetics are really good. Alpha barely scratched the surface. Then Mr. Soldier Man, the best part of the closed alpha was the dialogue between characters. It's very humorous and entertaining. It felt like I was watching a movie half the time. Can't wait to play the full release January the 30th. And then we're going to sign off with TCMF Games. Nice, I played this with a couple of buddies and we all enjoyed it. The story is a proper story and the various capabilities of each character is unique to them. Obviously, I don't know how the rest of the game is, but what I played then, we all enjoyed. So as you can see, players who had an extended amount of time seem to really enjoy it. We're going to have to wait for more news to come out as the game release approaches, but a Joker DLC has been revealed. There is a screenshot which is up on screen now. We'll have to wait for more details on this, but it's something that interests me. I love Joker and it's something else for us to look forward to. But we'll find out over the next few months whether Rocksteady have transferred their magic from the Batman Arkham games to the difficult games as a service model in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Personally, I believe they can pull this off and the game will do well. I just hope others give it a chance that it deserves. But guys, that is the end of the video. As always, if you've enjoyed any part of the video, please leave a like because it helps the channel out massively. And if you haven't already, maybe subscribe. But anyway, guys, take care and I'll see you on the next video.